Okay guys, we're back again. We're out in the garage, as Tublicane would call it, Studio B, where I have my Bridgeport set up. So what I want to do is I want to finish up these nuts for the carbide grinder. So what we're going to do here is we're going to mill this to length. I chose a 5/16 end mill for the simple fact that this isn't precariously held in here, but it's not the strongest way of holding it, and I don't want to put too much pressure on it because I don't want to collapse these nuts. So I chose a smaller cutter than I would normally use to do this. Okay, so I'm going to mill them to length, then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find the center of that nut, and we're going to put the slots in. Okay, all right, here we go. This should be fun. Okay, I'm going to set up on this one because this is the shortest one, and this one is actually about 15 thousandths longer than it should be. Not really a big deal, but we'll mill them both. I'll come up, set up on this one, and I'll cut this one off. Okay. All right, so we're going to be running up 5/16, 4 fluted end mills should be up around somewhere around 1,000 RPM. I'm going to switch on the phase converter so it might get a little bit loud. Set up bring the quill down. I'm going to lock it in place. I got my digital readout on, and we're going to start it up and stay out of your way over there. I'm working backwards to what I normally do. Set my Z to 0. I'm going to come over here. about 10 thousandths. All right, I'm going to do a quick cutter change. I'm going to the slot on this nut is 187 and it's 187 deep. So I'm going to set up for that, and I'm going to first set up to find the center. I'll show you how to do that, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I got my edge finder. I'm going to set it up in here. Once again, I'm going to do something that I don't always like to do. I'm going to pick up the edge on the movable jaw. And normally if I was doing something really precision, I would not do that. I pick up off the back jaw if I had to pick up off a jaw. But I wanted to, I mean, I could have flipped these around and I would have been picking up off the back jaw. But it's harder for me to film it that way. And because I have two precision blocks and they're both exactly the same size and it's a nut, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. So for your benefit, so you can see that, I'll pick up off of the movable jaw. So I got the edge finder in there. Turn the phase converter on. Get a little better light. Let me see if I can get you in there so you can see it. So what we're looking to do is we're going to come up and touch this jaw, and we want this wobbly part of the edge finder to come up to perfectly true and then slide sideways, and that tells us where the edge of the vise is. Now the part that's touching it is 200 thousandths in diameter, so basically we have to move it 100 thousandths over to be on the true side. But because we're going to be moving inward, I'll just subtract that from my dimension. So I have to, these are 1 inch round nuts, so that would be 500 thousandths. But because we're already going to be 100 thousandths in, we only got to go 400 thousandths. And I always write all my dimensions down on either the cross-slide of the lathe or the face of the vise in the milling machine, or on a piece of paper somewhere so you to remember. So I'm going to get in the middle of the vise, and I'm going to come over and just come up slowly, just until we hit that, until it just slides off to the side. Okay, so we're there. I'm going to zero my y-axis. And I'm going to do it one more time. And I'm going to bring you right in there so you can see this. That's as good as I can, close as I can get. Nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow. Until it goes off to the side. Look at my digital readout, and I'm bang right on zero again. So that's my zero. Okay? I'm going to move 400 thousandths in plus half the thickness of the edge finder. By the graduations that tool change. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, so we're all set up. We got a 3/16 4-fluted end mill in there. Would have liked to do a 2-fluter, but it's what I had. It's only a short distance, so I'm not too worried about chips packing up in the groove. I'm going to come down. I'm going to touch off where I've put a little Sharpie on there, and I'm going to drop down 187, and I'm going to take it at one shot. You go nice and slow, it should be all right. All right, so here we go. I'm going to speed up the mill a little bit. Just eyeballing it to make sure I'm in the middle, and I mean I should be exactly in the middle using an edge finder and a digital readout, but you know, just to make sure you're doing this what you want to do. I'm going to come down and I'm going to lock the quill in place. So quill's locked. I'm going to come up and touch that. I can see around this light. Alright, so I just touched it. I'm going to come over to my Z. I'm going to zero that. Zeroed my Z. I'm going to drop down to 187. I'm going to lock my knee. Turn the camera around. I already milled one of them. Sorry about that. So that looks like it came out pretty good. Let's check it out. Other than a few nasty burrs, we'll burr that, deburr that. I think that's a successful job. Okay, so the next project we're going to have to do is we're going to make spanner wrenches for this. So kind of the same idea. It's going to be all mill work though. So that one I will definitely cut them off to size. I'm going to wait till my 1-inch collet chuck comes in because I'm going to be doing the opposite of what we did here. The difference is going to be we're going to machine a hex on the backside for a wrench. Okay, so when that comes in, we'll get set up and we'll finish this auburn nut spanner wrench video. We'll finish it up. All right, thanks for watching.